in terms of finding a permanent solution to the hostilities between both sides and end the enmity forever, this agreement, this deal can be used by the United States as justification of future attacks. Hello. What if I tell you that the memorandum of understanding signed between the United States and Iran, in my understanding, is way more advantageous to the Americans? And I'm convinced that this is true in many ways, politically, militarily, and legally. Let's see what the 60-day ceasefire agreement involves. It involves Iran's commitments regarding its nuclear activities, especially in terms of Iran's obligation to allow international inspectors to go and visit Iran's nuclear sites, and maybe Iran's military sites, to verify if there is any kind of, if there is or isn't any kind of hidden or secret activities in terms of its nuclear activities. It involves sanction reliefs committed by the US, and importantly, it involves regional de-escalation between both sides around the Strait of Hormuz in Iraq and especially in Lebanon. Despite the fact that this is a deal, a 60-day ceasefire deal, and dialogue between both sides is going on in terms of finding a permanent solution to the hostilities between both sides and end the enmity forever, this agreement, this deal can be used by the United States as justification of future attacks. It may be surprise everybody, but it can be used as justification. How? If Iran appears to block or restrict international inspections, if there is evidence of renewed efforts to build nuclear weapons by the Iranians, if Iran attacks the US forces in the region and US allies in the region, if Iran's proxy forces go beyond the limitations, if Iran appears to advance its missile programs in terms of long-range missiles and middle-range missiles, and if Iran appears to produce drones in a kind of frightening large scale, all of this can be seen as violations of agreement and justify further future attacks. In fact, justifications that follows such an agreement gives diplomatic leverage to the United States, domestically, internationally, and regionally. We saw that when it comes to domestic support for Donald Trump to go on, if he deems it necessary to attack Iran once again, we have seen the signs of the positive signs, the advantageous signs of this agreement, because the Congress wanted to pass a bill to restrict Donald Trump's power in terms of Iran's war, but they decided not to do so. And this might be one of the reasons of this agreement being passed. And let's ask, what if Iran fully comply with the agreement? And there is no signs of violations of the agreement, no signs of going on with its nuclear program, and etc. Well, if such a thing happened, this would be a tremendous success for the United States, because what they wanted from the beginning was Iran Iran's allowing international inspectors and ceasing its nuclear uh, activities forever, maybe for 1, 2, 3 decades at least, and refrain from advancing its missile programs, stopping threatening U.S. allies in the region, stopping supporting the terrorist groups in the region, and this fully compliance of Iran leads to the U.S. Tremendous success for the United States. There is no doubt about this. But let's ask this ceasefire, what this ceasefire can do in terms of strengthening each side's position if a new war happens in the future. The US can use this period to replenish its weaponry and munition stockpile, something that it has been doing so non-stop. And it allows US to install kind of bombs that can be very precise, and they can improve its air defense interceptors, and this is something the US needs this time, and it can help US to increase production output, something that according to the news the US has been doing so. It can help them to analyze intelligence gathered during the war. It can help them to control Iran's praxis. They've been doing so in Iraq. A new government has been established there. They want to control Iran's the militia there backed by Iran, and they want to control Hezbollah in Lebanon. And it's all obvious. And it can help the US to reposition its forces approaching Iran's shore when the mines that Iran drew into the war have been cleaned from the waters, and adapting the missile and drone defense. This way, they would be less vulnerable in terms of the bases in the regions. Protecting can enable them to protect their allies in the region more precisely and more effectively. What Iran can achieve by this 60-day ceasefire, they can have a kind of economic relief. Not only the sanctions will be relieved, but they can sell oil. They can strengthen their morals. They can strengthen their forces' morale, and they can adapt their political structure to a new war, and adapt their positions and militarily. But what Iran can achieve, it seems they are the same thing that they had when the war started in February. But the US would achieve something that they didn't have before. And this shows that the US has the upper hand and a strong position if the Strait of Hormuz is cleared of mine, and they can reposition there. They can, if it enables the US to control the strait, then they can go ahead with a new wave of attacks on Iran with ease of mind. Yeah, that's why I'm convinced that if the United States uses this period to strengthen its military forces in the region to go on with another attack, it's really advantageous to them. See you next time.